My last video about self-cleaning or automatic litter boxes looked at all the good and bad things about them. Since then I've been sent a few more, some good and some not so good. One of the machines that I was sent for testing was a Neocasa M1. I think that's how you say it. And I'm really glad they did. There's a number of things which need to be better, but after 5 months of long-term use, it's my favourite open-style self-cleaning litter box. I don't know why there are so few open ones. Only a handful have decent size inside. Most of them are pretty cramped. I think for most cats, open machines are going to be the easiest to get used to, especially if they've only ever used a standard litter box. When I test machines, I test them incredibly thoroughly. And it really helps having 7 amazing cats to test them. Yes, I have 7 now. Archie joined us at the end of November last year. He was one of about a couple dozen cats and kittens dumped by the bins on the main road in Skiathos, Greece. I came across him during my daily feeding run whilst on holiday there. He was completely in my face from the moment I met him. This is the problem, you come here and you get attached. But I've never seen so many in one place before. I've just had so many kittens dumped here this season. I've done a lot of work with the Skiathos Cat Welfare Association charity over the last 7 years, and you can see my films about them on this channel. Having already adopted 3 cats from Skiathos and having 6 at that point, I was absolutely not looking for another. But spending time with him twice a day, every day, I fell in love with him. And I couldn't leave him to his fate, as he was doomed to live a very short life because of that busy main road. Archie, there you are. You ready? Come on, son. Let's put you in here. Gotcha. Oh, Archie, start your new life. Getting a cat from Skiathos to England isn't easy at the best times in the winter. It's really not easy. But I knew I had to save him. He's an absolute joy. And he is also an absolute terror at times. Archie's first experience of self-cleaning litter boxes was with the Aerobo, also known as the Meow-Want and various other names. He took to it very quickly. It's a very good budget machine, which I talked about in the last video. But I will go into more detail about it in an upcoming video where I'm also going to compare it to the latest machine from the same manufacturer, which is UB Tech, and that's called the UB Pet C20. My 2 main boxes are Whiskas Litter Robot 4. After over 2 years of using them, they're still my favourite, despite the occasional hiccup and my immense frustration with the smart scale pet tracking feature of them. It used to work really well, but then they changed the way that it works, and for the last year, it's been mostly useless for me. It's an essential feature, as it has helped me detect health issues with my cats in the past. I've made a very detailed review, and there's also an update to it in part 3 of my self-cleaning mega test series, and they are linked in the description. A new long-term review is in the works to cover the updates and the new accessories, so please subscribe and click notifications so you know when my new videos are live. There's an affiliate link with $50 off the Litter Robot 4 in the description. Using these and the other links really helps my channel, so thank you. Okay, let's talk about the Neocasa M1. Overall, I really like it, but it's a textbook example of the problems you always seem to get with first-generation products, and why it's often wise to wait until they've, worked out the kinks. It's an interesting looking design. It consists of 2 main parts, the drum and base on which it sits. At the bottom of that base is the over 11-litre waste bin, one of the biggest I've used. Hi. There are a few buttons on the front for basic functions, but like almost every machine, it relies on an app for its main options. which I will cover later. Am I right, Sebi? Like all the best machines that I've tested, the M1's cleaning cycle is rotational, using gravity rather than force to help it separate the urine, clumps and poo from the clean litter, which goes through the filter holes into a temporary storage area. The M1 is quiet, not the quietest one I've tested, but far from the loudest. The reason it does this staccato motion is to make sure that the clean litter really gets filtered out. And then the waste is dumped into the bin. I found the odor to be completely contained in the bin, partly because it uses a trapdoor that covers the waste compartment under the drum. That door opens at the start of a cleaning cycle, and then at the end, it closes it. There's a drawer fall sensor just above the bin. When the beam is broken, it triggers a bin fall warning, which shows on the front panel and with an app notification if you have them enabled. Often though, when it says it's forward, it's not actually full, it's just that the waste builds up at the back of the bin first, a common problem with many machines. To get it working again, pull the drawer out, give it a shake and the sensor will be cleared. Well, that is unless it truly is full, then of course you've got to empty it. You don't have to use their official bags. They are $20 for 30. Any 10-gallon bag will do. When the bin fall is triggered, the cycle will hold temporarily in this position just in case it's actually a curious cat that has stepped into the bin. Just before it moves back, it emits a series of loud beeps in case a cat is still there. If the cat is still there and won't move, then during the return part of the cycle, if there's any obstacle in the way, the pinch detector is triggered and stops the cycle. There's no danger. When a cat uses the M1, infrared and weight sensors will detect it. The weight sensor also takes a reading of them for the app. After the cat's left, the timer counts down before it starts a cleaning cycle. You can set this duration in the app. I recommend a good 10 minutes at least to let the clumps dry out, which makes them fall more easily into the bin. The app's decent, it does the job and is updated frequently. It's an essential part of the M1, as without it you cannot change any setting. And one of the key ones is setting the right time delay after use before cycling. It shows you the amount of litter left, which works by you calibrating it after you first fill it with the litter or after a deep clean. It also has an indicator for the waste bin, but it only shows normal or full. It cannot measure how much is in there, as there aren't any sensors looking into it like the Litter Robot 4 has. Whilst you can program in your cat's profiles, I found that the weight measurements aren't always spot on. It's better than some machines, however, I really would like them to improve their weighing algorithm for more accurate results and a smaller margin of error. The machine will stop during the cycle if a cat is detected. This is good, but the problem is when the drum tilts towards the front during the leveling part of a cycle, then if a cat jumps in and uses it, at this point, there's a very good chance that they will cause a bit of a mess. They could pee straight into the gap or poo like Lollipop did here. Also expect litter to be kicked out in this position. I've asked them to add a feature in the app, so when it tilts forward during the cleaning and leveling cycle, the sensors temporarily disengage so it won't stop if they get in, and therefore that won't happen. And those sensors will re-engage when it's rotated up to the level position. And they told me that they are working on it. The problem of litter being kicked out and peeing over the side could be a real problem with the M1, but that's depending on your cat, of course. It really needs a litter guard or shield to stop this. Some machines come with them, like the Litter Robot 4 and the Popa. Making a shield for the M1 is a bit of a challenge as there's nothing to clip anything onto, but they told me that they're working on this too and it will be available in late summer. The downside of raising the height when they enter, if there was a shield, is it would make it harder for some cats to get in, so a step will be needed for older cats or cats with mobility issues. Some might even without a shield. Thankfully none of my cats have any issue getting in, including the twins, Bertie and Percy, who are 17 and a half. The rubbery non-stick litter mat in the drum is a decent size, as is the amount of litter it takes, but like so many other machines, the mat really needs to be much bigger than it is, not just the size for the litter. If a cat pees even just a little bit off the mat, then you can end up with clumps stuck to the plastic edge, which isn't non-stick. At least because it's open, it's easy enough to free the clumps. I find the grey colour isn't ideal as it tends to show dirt and litter dust. A cream one is available, but the grey is the one they push the most. I believe it's because they wanted it to stand out from the competition, but there's a good reason why most are white. It's the same reason I don't recommend a black litter robot for. Deep cleaning is, with a couple of caveats, very easy. First, make sure there's a fresh bag in the bin. Press the empty button. This dumps all the litter into it so you can get cleaning. Remove the side ears and then the cylinder lifts out. I clean it in my catio with a hose, very liquid and a brush. If you don't have a garden, you can do it in a bath or shower. Just be careful not to let clay litter go down the plug hole, as it's not good for your plumbing. The only awkward bit is behind the filter, as it doesn't flex enough for you to get behind it. You can unscrew the top part of the cylinder to get to it, but I wouldn't recommend doing this more than a couple of times due to the plastic threads. Don't clean the base the same way, as there are electronics in there. It's pretty easy to wipe down with a damp cloth, apart from the trapdoor, as gunk gets stuck there. One of my biggest gripes with self-cleaning litter boxes is urine leaks. I mean, they're designed to be used by cats peeing in them, so you'd think the inside would be watertight, wouldn't you? Unfortunately, so many of them have bad seals where the mats clip into the cylinder. For the first few weeks, I had no leaks with the M1. It was only when Chief Tester Bertie started using it that they appeared. Both he and his brother have been very ill this year and have spent most of their day in the bedroom. They aren't fully recovered, but are doing better and have started to come downstairs again, which is where the M1 is. Bertie always finds problems with machines, and the small gap at the front of the mat was all that was needed for urine to go through. I've got a good relationship with the Nikasa product manager, to whom I've given a lot of feedback and suggestions. He's been really receptive and has always implemented a number of these via firmware. He said they're making a new mat that fits much better and has rubber edges, which is great news. Until then, they've made some stickers to go around the mat's edges to prevent leakage. These are free and available for anyone who has an M1. It doesn't cover the very back though, as the filter doesn't move enough to get one in there. If you're unlucky enough to have a gap at the rear and that's where your cat pees, then you could use some silicone sealant to smear around there, or ask Nikasa to send you a second pack, because I think you could probably squeeze a sticker on there. For me, they've totally stopped any leaks. But if you still have them or have peeing over the side, then there's a problem caused by the trap door. Even though the bin is beneath the cylinder, the trapdoor is in the way. So if there's any urine leaks for it or a cat pees over the edge, it ends up on top of the trapdoor. Likewise with any litter that falls down there. When a cleaning cycle starts, a trapdoor opens and some finer bits of litter and some urine could be dragged inside the machine rather than go into the bin. I found signs of this when I took the M1 completely apart. This is the M1's most significant design flaw. I understand they are bringing out a version without the trapdoor, but then the odour won't be held in anymore. They'll need to create a seal in a different way, maybe by putting something like this door draft excluder on the base where the cylinder sits here. I tested it out and held the smell in, and the cylinder could still rotate. Important that. This is not too dissimilar to what the litter robots do, although that's a much smaller area that needs sealing. For the machines with the trapdoor, a different fix is needed. Using a less thick draft excluder, I put it around the very edge above the trapdoor. This is to push anything on top of it into the bin. If you've got urine trickling down, then it'll soak it up. So that part will need replacing occasionally. It's very cheap stuff though, but Nikasa really needs to bring out that shield ASAP. Regarding the type of litter to use, I've had the best results with clumping clay litter. The filter holes aren't big enough for standard tofu litter, as it will just chuck it in the bin. If you are in the USA, Lady N has a new granular tofu designed for self-cleaning litter boxes. The pellets are about half the size of their standard tofu litter, so they're small enough to go through the gaps in machines' filters. They sent me some to test out and it works well. It's very absorbent and not too sticky. The only thing that wasn't ideal was really more with the Litter 4 than the Niacasa, as that machine's filter has smaller holes to make sure any small broken clumps get filtered out. I found that during a cycle, a small amount of unused tofu granules was always thrown out. Not a lot, but this isn't something that happens with the much finer clay litter. With the M1, because it has bigger holes and that staccato rotation, this wasn't a problem. In theory, you can also flush it down the loo, but check with your local water authority, as most don't allow it because a cat may carry the toxoplasma parasite that most treatment plants cannot kill. I hope they bring this to the UK and Europe, because litter which is better for the environment is very appealing. The one thing I can't test out, of course, is real longevity and what happens if the machine goes wrong when the warranty runs out. In most countries, that's just 1 year. In the UK and EU, it's 2 years by law. Unfortunately, they don't offer any extended warranties. I have stressed to them how important this is, as the M1 costs around $500. As of now, they don't sell spare parts for it. I hope they will offer both these and an extended warranty in the future. I run a Facebook group that covers all self-cleaning litter boxes. It's a fantastic group, so make sure you join. And from what I've read in it, the customer service from Niacasa has been very good. If you've made it this far, then you've seen just how comprehensive my testing is, and I have brought up a number of flaws and negatives. But most of these can be addressed. And they've been very good at listening to my feedback and suggestions and implementing as much as they can at this point. The fact that they don't sell this to anyone else, unlike many other machines out there, which are OEM and sold under just so many different names, the fact that they make it means they can make this machine much better. It's quicker for them to fix these things. So it does make me optimistic about the future of the M1. Despite the niggling issues, I really like the M1, as do my cats. There's just so few open machines on the market that are any good. And as I said at the beginning, this is the best one that I've used. Unlike most of the machines that I test, I am going to keep using this one. And if there's any improvements, I will put them as a pinned comment below this video. If you found this or any of my other reviews helpful, please consider using the thanks button under this video. The same goes for the affiliate links. Without these, I wouldn't be able to do these reviews, as I do not take sponsorship for them, despite many offers. It's essential that I remain independent, because a review cannot be a review if they've paid you. Make sure you check out the other videos on this channel, not just the Litterbox ones, but my films, my shorts, and the first video in my Catio series finally. As always, huge thanks to Bertie Percy, Lollipop, Jimmy Sevi, Harriet, and new boy Archie. You guys, you're the best, and I love you all so much.